Press the bell icon on the YouTube app to never miss a video from News Laundry.
Welcome to News Laundry Chhota Hafta. For the full episode, subscribe because it is behind the paywall and only subscribers get access to uncut, complete content. News Laundry Hafta is our weekly wrap of all that made the news, all that didn't, and all that should have and all that shouldn't have. We agree, we disagree, we critique, and occasionally we beat each other up. But it's all good fun. Subscribe.
This is a News Laundry podcast and you're listening to NL Hafta.
Welcome to News Laundry Hafta. अंग्रेज अपना लगान और News Laundry अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. When the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Support News Laundry. Subscribe. Pay to keep news free. Be a dhobi because the chowkidar keeps the country safe while dhobis keep the news clean. That's our little dovetailing. That's the technical term, when you kind of piggyback on something. So today, Madhu is going to be joining us shortly. On the Hafta, we have a special guest. Yes, thank you for that. Empty chair. This, I feel like Arnab. But we have a guest whose actually list of education accomplishments are more than I think the rest of us put together. I don't mean to be insulting to the rest of you because I was reading this and I was telling Karthika, our producer, आज एक ही guest आ रहा है क्या? He says, हाँ, मैंने कहा सारे accomplish एक ही guest के हैं. He says, हाँ, मैंने कहा चलो मिलना चाहिए. And then Gautam walked in. I thought there'd be some grey-haired man, but he's a youngster. He's done a lot in his very so far brief life. So he's a graduate of NLSIU Bangalore. Gautam Bhatia has studied at Oxford University on the Rhodes Scholarship, वाह वाह, and holds an LLM degree from Yale, वाह वाह. Yale से एक joke याद आया, Dilbert. I had posted this and she had. So there is Dilbert. We have this consultant. He's going to be telling you about the leadership qualities of management. And so he said he's from Yale. So everyone says, are you from Yale? He says, yeah, I got out last week. Jail, it doesn't matter. So anyway, you're from the real Yale. I don't know why I threw that joke in here. He was involved in the right to privacy case. He actually is quite an authority. He's an area expert on the privacy laws. He's assisted Mr. Arvind Datar on that case and in the constitutional challenge to Aadhaar, which also I'd like to talk to you about. I just got my Aadhaar day before yesterday.
I'm so sorry.
दिल टूटा वहाँ जाते हुए मैंने कहा इस पर अंगूठा लगाओ. I don't think the guy was sneering. He was just being nice, but I felt that he was joking. ही गया आया हूँ पहाड़ के नीचे. Anyway, and my C also sent me a very sarcastic email. हाँ हो गया आपका Supreme Court? Because he had told me last year to get it to file my returns. I said I don't have to get it. He says no, you have to. I said no. He said वहाँ पर वो है. मैंने कहा मैं ABCD लिख के लोग कर रहे हैं. तो just day before yesterday I got a mail. हो गया आपका Supreme Court? मैंने कहा ठीक है. So he was a part of that case. He assisted Mr. K.V. Vishwanathan. He's the author of Offend, Shock or Disturb Freedom of Speech under the Indian Constitution. And this is his second book, right?
Yeah.
That was your first.
Yeah.
And this is called The Transformative Constitution, a Radical Biography in 9 acts. And apart from this, he's a regular contributor to the Hindu and Hindustan Times. His work has been cited by the Supreme Court on 3 occasions. Away from the law, he also edits a UK-based science fiction magazine called Strange Horizons. Achha, you're a science fiction also. So, welcome Gautam.
Thank you.
We hope to get much gyan from you, although many things before we even started, Gautam said I won't be commenting on that. I won't be commenting on that because I have no specialization on that. मैंने कहा if I only spoke when I had specialization, I'd never talk. असीधा कोई फेल लेना है. So, the rest of our panel is award-winning Manisha, journalist.
Sounds so sad after that.
I know.
That too award like 2 years ago.
But you won a Gudiya award also.
Gudiya award?
Ladli.
You call it Gudiya award?
लाडली गुड़िया से कितना फर्क है सर. साढ़े यहाँ थे मेरा मैं निक्कू ते लल्लू ते गुड़िया लाडली.
Terrible.
So our award,
media. Just imagine
ungrateful award-winning journalist who's cribbing about everything. She was cribbing about the laptop before that. I haven't got a brand new Mac. You give me a hand-me-down. यहाँ salary के लाले पड़े हुए तुझे Mac में चाहिए. I'm managing editor, the very patient Raman Kirpal, who somehow makes do with the kind of ammunition he's got, but. Well, such is life. So what can I do? You're stuck with us. आज ये पकड़ लो इसे. मैं बता रहा हूँ. जाने ना पाए.
बिल्कुल नहीं जाने देंगे.
But also an announcement. We have a new podcast that has started called The Daily Dose. It is, like the name suggests, a daily dose of just the important news for the day. And also our much loved pop culture podcast, The Awful and Awesome Entertainment Wrap, already has its own channel. So if you're on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you're getting your podcast from, please subscribe to The Awful and Awesome Entertainment Wrap, because this channel that News Laundry Hafta is on, which was a News Laundry podcast channel, will only have Hafta. All other podcasts will have their own channel. So please subscribe to those. Now, with that out of the way, while Madhu comes, Manisha, let's get to the headlines, and we can start talking to Gautam, and he's wondering what the fuck am I doing with these retards anyway.
Exciting morning today. We had the Prime Minister give his first pre-election interview to Arnab Goswami. Surprise, surprise.
So all the children who always asked, Daddy, who you love most? Now, you know, Sudhir, pata chal gaya. Mr. Sharma, what is Sharma, India TV wala? Rajat, pata chal gaya.
No, I think Rajat is beyond all
favorite.
this.
Acha, he's
yeah, he doesn't
he
come
doesn't
in
use
this
the
year.
interviews.
Pitama.
He's Pitama, yeah.
Acha. But
Fight
out of
was
the
between Arnab, Sudhir, RSS and
Bhupen ko,
Bhupen to...
Bhupen is a Sautela beta. He's a Cinderella. They're the evil sisters. Sandal dekhte kisko padti hai. Sorry, carry on.
And then we had a really important announcement by the PM, which had a lot of anchors speculating. India has tested its first anti-satellite missile system, Mission Shakti. And there was a lot of controversy around Mission Shakti. The opposition came out and said this is theatrics and Modi is using this for elections. TMC complained to the Election Commission. The Election Commission said that it will be looking into the speech and whether it violated any of the model code conduct. 100 filmmakers have issued a statement not to vote for BJP. Economist John Rees was detained for 2 hours in Jharkhand. He was organizing a meeting on right to food, and apparently he didn't have permission. Kanhaiya is finally contesting from Begusarai. There was this understanding that RJD and Congress would support his candidature, but that's not happening. RJD has fielded a strong candidate against Kanhaiya. Rahul Gandhi has announced the minimum income guarantee scheme. He said we will wipe out poverty.
It's called NYAY.
NYAY.
And it reminded me of the whole Garibi Hut. I was wondering if that would be used to like discredit the scheme. Of course it has. Anyway.
The Election Commission has sent notice to the makers of PM Narendra Modi, the film. What is the film called? PM Narendra Modi.
PM Narendra Modi. Other than but also lyricist Javed Akhtar.
Is not the
and one more, Sameer. Sameer and Javed Akhtar's name were in the credits. Says that we didn't write any lyrics. And apparently the filmmaker was explaining how the names made it there.
Copy paste kar liya hoga.
So they basically said, you haven't written any songs for us, but we have taken some of your earlier songs and chura liya, isliye aapka naam hai. Chup baitho aap.
Opposition has pushed for a ban on the film. The EC told the Supreme Court that electoral bonds will have a repercussion on transparency on political fundings.
And the man who's holding the phone has been saying this for the longest time.
For the longest time, yeah. You can watch his explainer
so
on it.
Gautam Bhatia has been cited 3 times by Supreme Court. Meghnad has not been cited once, but he said this once before. तू side ही है. रोड्स मिली है तुझे? रोड्स कल से मिली है? नहीं ना? तो चलो.
तभी आज तुम फोन के साथ हो और ये यहाँ है. Okay. Air India and Go Air withdraw their boarding passes, which had the photo of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And for comic relief, Subramanian Swamy said that he cannot be a chowkidar because he's Brahmin. And before that, he also said the whole world knows I'm fighting against corruption, so I don't need to put chowkidar in front of my
So,
name.
but irrespective whether you're Brahmin or whether you're not Brahmin, you can always be a dhobi, because dhobi transcends caste, and you have to merely pay to keep news free and clean, and then proudly you can say, "Main bhi dhobi," and subscribe to News Laundry and become a dhobi who washes clothes. But let's start with you, Gautam. Other than I've been reading your stuff and I see you comment often on Twitter, I honestly haven't had the time to read this book yet. So Gautam, tell me about this book. If you could just tell our listeners what is it about, because I went over a little bit. It's very technical, right?
Well, it is technical, but the idea is that it should be accessible to non-lawyers. So I've tried to avoid technical jargon and tried to explain the arguments in a way that you don't need to have the vocabulary of lawyers to understand.
I see. And what is it that you're dealing with in this book?
Well, so the idea is that to understand the Indian Constitution as transformative, and transformative in what sense? So normally you think of constitutions as marking the moment of a political transfer. So you had the colonial British regime, and then we had an independence movement, and the constitution was what inaugurated the independent Indian Republic. So in that sense, you're transforming the relationship between the individual and the state. You first had the colonial regime ruling us, and now you have, an independent Indian elected government, governing us. That's one sense. And that's the sense in which you understand constitutions through history, the American Constitution, which inaugurated constitutionalism in the modern era, that was the understanding that the individual and the state now enjoy a different relationship. Now, what I'm saying here is that yes, that was one way in which the Constitution was transformative. But in another deeper sense, it was transformative as well. And that was that in India, through the independence struggle and movement, it was always understood that the state was never the only source of oppression. So caste, religion, community and groups and so on, in their own way, they were sources of oppression, dominance, curtailment of liberties and so on.
Right.
So the Indian Constitution is aimed not simply at removing the colonial power and establishing a democratic government, but also democratizing society more deeply.
So the social oppression, which is not part of the state. So
yes,
to speak. Okay.
yes. So for example, Article 15, Clause 2, which is never talked about. You talk about Article 14, equality, 21, life, and so on. 15.2 says that in access to shops, hotels, public places, there can be no discrimination on grounds of caste, gender, race, and so on. So, a shopkeeper can't say, look, you're Dalit, so I wouldn't serve you. He can't do that. The Constitution prohibits that. So in those kinds of ways...
So since you are an expert on this, is there an exception for places of religious worship?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So there was a debate over that.
Thank you.
There was actually an extensive debate over that issue in the assembly. And they finally took places of religious worship out of 15.2 and they put it in Article 25. So what they said was that, look, this is something which the elected government should take into account, and they should make laws that throw open places of religious worship to people of all sections. The Constitution should not be doing that. Let the elected government do that as and when the time is right.
How was the Arnab interview with Narendra Modi? You're the only one who's watched it. It was aired this morning, right? Sorry, is that
little
true?
of it.
Well, he
You also
started
saw
off saying, I would like to ask you, PM Modi, how's the Josh?
How's the
That's his first question.
And did Modi
How confident are you?
Did Modi a cute giggle? Modi had a cute
Actually,
giggle.
the thing with these interviews is when you watch them, Modi comes off looking so much better than these news anchors. Because at one point, Arnab
Anyone
actually...
will look better than these news anchors, Manisha.
No, but that's such a shame because at one point Arnab asked him that ये टुकड़े gang हैं, ये लोग हैं, इनके खिलाफ सख्त कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए, आप करेंगे क्या, आप दोबारा आएंगे. So he says that मेरी आलोचना करना कोई गुनाह नहीं है, और अगर देश के खिलाफ कुछ करोगे तो whatever उनके ऊपर कार्रवाई. But he kind of brought it a notch down that where Arnab was taking Arnab was taking it to a loony level.
ऐसे क्यों बोल रहे हो, मेरे TRPs?
Of course, I mean, it just makes these anchors look ridiculous. And then, of course, towards the end, he said that सब लोग सोच रहे हैं मोदी वर्सेस हु, और तो कोई है ही नहीं इलेक्शन में, आपका कोई ऑपोजिशन नहीं है, मोदी वर्सेस हु, मोदी वर्सेस हु.
कौन बोल रहा था? मोदी बोल रहा था?
Arnab was asking. Then he went to... Then
So
actually,
Modi should have said पप्पू है ना.
No, he said कि आपको टीआरपी में फायदा होता अगर कोई और होता तो, लेकिन कोई नहीं है. पिछली बार कोई नहीं था तो आप केजरीवाल ले आए, और उसका तो कोई एक सीट भी नहीं था, कोई पार्टी भी नहीं थी, but still you were pitting him against me. And this time there is no one. But this is bad for him.
कितनी 10 रैली की थी दिल्ली में, 67 सीट्स लाई, आपकी 3 आई.
Yeah.
तो हो गया आपका.
And of course he ended it with asking him what's the secret of his energy. So
Sorry,
yeah,
आपकी
what's the
energy का?
secret of your energy?
Did he say
क्या खाते
Horlicks
हैं? क्या
or Boost? Boost is the secret of my energy.
But even if you have to ask Chatu questions, at least get new Chatu questions. Like this, क्या खाते हो is 2014, yeah? It's been done
It's
and
already
dusted.
asked by the other Chatu.
Yeah.
He was smiling throughout the interview.
But one more thing on the interview and many other interviews of Modi, all the tough questions. So he did ask about Rafale, he did ask about Robert Vadra, but they're always rooted through the opposition that लोग ये कह रहे हैं आपके बारे में. This, like a journalist, you do your research and you say this is what's happened. How do you respond to
Sir,
this?
I don't have the guts to
You
ask
don't
you.
say neighbor कह रहे हैं और opposition कह रहे हैं, लोग कह रहे हैं.
But that is a problem across the board. I see Barkha doing a lot of this as well. Whenever
I
she...
confess, full disclosure, I actually trained reporters to do that. What I would tell them to do is कि मैं नहीं पूछ रहा, पर लोग बहुत ये इसकी चर्चा कर रहे हैं तो इसलिए मुझे पूछना पड़ रहा है. Then I told them to pause. That part would be cut out. And then he'd ask his question.
So you don't piss off the politician, but
Yeah.
you get the question.
And you don't look like an idiot asking by saying मैं नहीं कह रहा ये वो. So that part would be cut out.
Which is fine in something, like maybe with the Mission Shakti, you can say, okay, the opposition has accused you of this, what's your response? But every question can't be that, the people are saying this and then sort of cushion it and then say, but I know that this is not true, but what do you think?
Sometimes you have to cushion it because you run the risk of the guy getting up and walking away.
Sure.
Which would be great television, Madhu. Back, I don't know.
No, but you
would
want
probably-
more answers, no?
You can do that at the end of the interview.
Yeah, then you can.
एंड में क्लाइमैक्स में पुलिस के आने से 5 मिनट पहले आप चले जाओ. Okay, now let's come to that, that certain questions like where were you when Elvis died was your generation's question, Madhu? Like where were you when Rajiv Gandhi died? Where were you
No,
when
it was
Indira
our
Gandhi died? I
generation was
remember.
where were you when Kennedy died?
Where were you when Kennedy died? Okay. So where were you?
I like the one where were you when Shastri died?
Okay. So no, I've never heard that, but I was
I
too
haven't
young.
heard it either, but it's a nicer one than Kennedy.
Yeah, I guess. No,
Shastri's death was a huge shock.
I remember where I was, what I was doing when Indira Gandhi died, where I was and what I was doing when Rajiv Gandhi died, and where I was and what I was doing when Princess Diana died. I remember that time also it became this, because it was so abrupt.
Rajiv Gandhi died, I had just had a very serious operation 1 week before. And the night that we got to know, I jumped out of bed, started throwing on my clothes and running to work. And my mother is screaming after me, bed rest for 3 months, sidi mat chado, ye wo, you will suffer for the rest of your life. I went to work. Nothing happened. I did not suffer for the rest of my life. I had the best recovery anyone could ever have.
Never listen to your mother.
Children, moral of the story, never listen to your mother.
mothers.
Madhu ने
No,
यही
no.
आपको सीख दिया.
No. My children don't listen to me much, but please don't say that.
So along those lines, whenever any cataclysmic event happens, where were you when? So where were you when Modi ji made an announcement when he addressed the nation?
I was doing physiotherapy
Okay. Where were you, Gautam?
with the phone on watching him.
I was in Sonipat with my parents.
Did you know that this announcement was being made? Were you anticipating it or nothing?
Well, on Twitter, everyone was going crazy. So,
Yeah.
and running to ATMs. So, yeah.
Manisha?
I was watching Bhupendra Chaube, who had declared before the announcement that this is a masterstroke.
I'd love to see
Because
this
we've been
one's
discussing about
of history in her, in what all she watches. The kind of thing
News
she
channels.
comes up with. I mean, when do you work? कभी TikTok निकाल रही है, कभी
TikTok,
कुछ निकाल रही है,
TikTok, भूपेंद्र
वो
आप जी
सुधीर
का-
चौधरी का निकाल रही है, भूपेंद्र चौबे का निकाल रही है. She's got her obsessions.
Yeah.
Bhupendra
That TikTok
Chaube,
thing
but
was
honestly,
and also
brilliant.
Rahul Shankar I watched, who said that viewers, Modi wants to give a message that's very different from an announcement. A message is sensitive.
That a BJP
It's
guy said, so he
special.
was repeating it.
It's not an
RSS
announcement. I was like, dude, what are you?
RSS guy
कुछ भी बोल रहे हो?
issued that statement. So he was echoing them.
Because he's also RSS. Rahul
RSS
Shankar.
actually said this.
Yeah.
Huh? Really?
So,
Yes.
like, what the fuck? Sorry, Madhu. But, like, what was that announcement? I put off. Truth be told, I was in Dehradun and I was about to go, like in India बोलते हैं, fresh होने में जाने वाला था, तो मैंने देखा announcement होने वाली है. Gautam is looking at me, what is fresh hona? You don't know what is fresh hona in India?
Oh God, where do you live? My
Sonipat.
driver stops the car and says, मैं fresh होने जा रहा
fresh होने
हूँ. First time he said it, I said, तुम fresh होने जा रहे हो?
पाय खाने जा रहे
खाने जा
हैं यहाँ. पायखाना समझता ना
Yes,
अपना.
yes.
तो मैंने कहा यार कुछ होने वाला है तो भाई held it and sat. अब साला 11:45 शुरू नहीं, मैंने कहा साढ़े 12 बज रहे हैं यार, यहाँ मेरे 12 बज रहे थे. मैंने कहा चलो वेट निकू, संयम बरतो थोड़ा और सेल्फ
No,
कंट्रोल.
what struck me about him in this was his remarkable discomfiture. He did not look his
The swagger.
confident, that swag had gone. He was he was
he was
not
trembling.
comfortable. He looked.
No, I think he rehearsed.
Desperate.
He rehearsed several times.
I'm sure he must have.
I think that was probably his mistake, because when you rehearse something too many times, it becomes trite, and that's what struck me, and I think that's for BJP followers should be worrying.
Now I quickly wanted to talk about this 100 filmmakers issue a statement not to vote for BJP. I'll just tell you what this is about, those of you who don't know. More than 100 filmmakers from across India have come together to issue a statement to save democracy and oust the BJP from power through the upcoming Lok Sabha. This does not have Sanjay Leela Bhansali and Subhash
There are
Ghai
a lot of stars from
So
the
who are
south.
they?
Sanjay Leela क्यों?
Are they Indians?
Kabir Singh
Yeah, yeah.
Chaudhary is one
Anand
famous one,
Patwardhan
right?
is one of the most well-known. Otherwise, there's some, Malayalam language producer, director, Ashik Abu.
Nobody from Bollywood.
Yeah.
No, Kabir Chaudhary is, no? Kabir Chaudhary, didn't he make,
What?
who made Bajrangi Bhaijaan?
That's Kabir Khan.
Oh, Kabir Khan. Okay,
See,
Kabir
anyone
Singh
who has such
Chaudhary
big
is-
stakes is not going to get it. They're not going to
Okay.
And also,
Okay.
the Bollywood has a history of not. This is more regional cinema.
No, Bollywood were always running scared. कुछ होता है तो पुलवामा हुआ तो immediately, sadly, in one sense, all the Muslim actors were
Yeah,
tweeting to
they
show their
have to show
loyalty.
that, yeah, exactly. You have to,
In fact, presence of all these Bollywood guys at Ambani's son marriage.
Yeah, exactly.
वो छुनछुना बजाते हुए.
Even actually
Did you
with
see
the PM,
that?
there was a
Did you see
photo
that?
up with
Exactly.
Ayushman and
Amir Khan
Karan
and
Johar.
my hero here. I stopped
So
liking him after that.
so there's a website called artistuniteindia.com, and there's a statement by them, and all 100 names are there, 103 actually. And honestly, I mean, maybe many of them are, very accomplished filmmakers, but name-wise, I only know Q. And that Q guy who made that film,
Kaushik
who
Mukherjee,
seems a
yeah.
bit strange to me actually.
He's
So I'm not sure that's a
I
good
like
idea.
his movies though.
Really?
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
But
He had
nobody
this,
from
Netflix
Bollywood
film
is there, right?
No
and
one,
that's
yeah.
a statement because they're all scared. And
So-
in one sense, I don't blame them. Yeah, they do go after them.
So my question is this: do such appeals? You think, like Jennifer Lawrence has just put out a video as well, where just trashing Trump and how we have to take back
Robert
America
De
again.
Niro's done it. But
Do
Trump
you-
doesn't go after them.
But do you hold?
And the press there doesn't go after them in the way that.
But would you blame Indian stars for not taking positions, or you
No,
think?
I don't blame them. I think you take a position and you have a dharna outside your house. Your kid is going to school, he's scared out of his wits. His wife can't go out. It turns your life upside down for one statement. So, you want to be normal. I wouldn't call it brave. You want to be normal and give your opinion, political opinion on any issue. But are you willing to pay the price of having your life being turned upside down? Is it worth it? I can understand somebody saying that I don't want to, turn my life upside down or my family's.
Rahul Gandhi made an announcement where he said that everybody in the country will get a minimum income of 12,000. Doesn't mean everyone will get 12,000, but whatever rupees you are making below 12,000, they'll fill that gap. So
Top up, yeah.
They'll top it up to 12,000. There was a lot of confusion around that when he made the
Kiski
announcement.
paise?
But to the
Sunday.
bottom 20%, 6,000 per month to the bottom 20%.
So, desirable, not desirable, doable, and more importantly, politically, did they take the wind out of Modi's sails? Who wants to start?
See, there was a speaker, an author, an activist at the India Today conclave, a guy called Guy Standing. And he started an experiment all over the world, in India, in Madhya Pradesh, in Rajasthan, where they give a small amount of money for free to really poor people. And his theory is that people who are given a dole don't work. People say that they don't work if they're given a dole. They just lie back. But his experiment proves
That they do.
That
It pushes them up.
it pushes them up. You give them the basic,
Yeah.
a small amount of money, not a huge amount of money, 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees. But it changes their way of doing things. It makes them more proactive in getting out of the debt
Because there's
burden.
hope
And the
there.
poverty
But where
rat
do
And
you-
also the only people who have complained about the system are the money lenders.
And the
Where did he do this experiment?
In a couple of villages in Madhya Pradesh.
In fact, this Madhya Pradesh experiment has been quoted in the media also after this
Yeah.
announcement.
Yeah,
And
I think
they
Sushant
found that,
Singh had
he says that giving a small amount of money for free for doing no work he has catalogued how it has improved people's lives.
I think it is.
I think
it's
so.
a must.
I think
Sorry.
it's a push. Yeah, for sure.
I think it has to, because we are all products of some sort of subsidy. Some of the poor don't even get access to subsidy. Even every person who's passing out of, my alma mater, Doon School is a product of subsidy. Yeah? Doon School pays 1 rupee a year to the government of India for 69 acres of a campus that people would bloody kill each other for, yeah? Because it's been with us forever. But today the government can't say DPS, Doon सब हटो. अब 1 रुपए देके सब चल रहे हैं, हम सब सब्सिडी का हिस्सा है. गरीबों को सब्सिडी का मौका ही नहीं मिलता. कॉलेज देखो, Delhi University, I paid 1100 rupees there. All of us are product of subsidy, including the richest bastards. Sorry.
Well, yeah, this is not really my area, but one thing I've noticed about the debates, and I think even now when this was announced, Jet Airways and others were pointing out, it's always a key question of whether a universal basic income will complement existing subsidy schemes or whether it will replace them and everything will be subsumed into that one single universal basic income, and that often makes a difference. I think the argument that Jet Airways and other social economists make is that it shouldn't replace them because all these subsidies serve a specific purpose.
And they're more targeted.
More targeted,
As
yeah,
opposed to
yeah.
this will be
Yeah.
universal,
Yeah.
as the
No,
name
it's
suggests.
not universal basic income. It's not. It's minimum income to
Yeah, but it's-
bottom 20%.
but in the
So
sense
you're not
it's-
giving it to everyone.
But it's universal in the sense of there's certain targeting is for communities,
Yeah.
for people, from like the schedule that lists certain scheduled tribes and scheduled castes. So there's some targets for them. This is just, across the board, which is purely economic, which is also fine. But yeah, I get it. It can't replace some more targeted schemes.
But I don't know if the Congress has taken this to the masses. I mean, I don't think Congress has even yet come out with a slogan, right? Going into the elections. We're going to have elections in the next 2 weeks. There's no slogan that no campaign. So they made this announcement, but I don't know if they're really driving home the point of NYAY or
I saw
what they're
They
going to do with
need
it.
to back it up, but I think it will definitely make an impact.
No, I think that is one of the reasons that Modi made that announcement, because when he made this announcement, Rahul, it had become the big talking point for the evening, and it is something that could really move votes here. So I think that was in response to this announcement was the satellite.
And the PM also has a scheme like this for Kisans. So less than 2 hectares, you give 2,000 rupees a quarter. I mean, it's way less in terms of money, but they are also targeting people.
He said,
I mean, it's common sense in India to do this.
He
I
said
do think
exactly
citizens
this in
need
the
it.
Meerut speech, कि हमने तो this has already benefited X amount of people. सुन लिया अफ्रीका मुफ्त खोरों. Not to brag or anything, but News Laundry Hafta features in the top 50 in the world on SoundCloud in the news and politics category for podcasts. So do subscribe and see what you're missing, because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Subscribe, help keep news independent and free. All News Laundry podcasts are available on iTunes and Stitcher and any other podcast platform.